It's a sight to make the angels weep. Broken down English thoroughbreds. But if you truly believe in the afterlife, then there might be a future for these fallen beauties in reincarnation. Now, I've been writing about cars and presenting them on television for more years than I care to remember, and it's sometimes difficult to work up enthusiasm when you think you've seen it all before. But this is one story where I have no problems at all, because this is the Ronart. Ronart Cars goes back to the mid-80s when Arthur Wolstenholme built the first W152. Since then, he's never looked back. Fearsome machine. So, Arthur, tell me, how did Ronart start?
I was very interested in the Grand Prix cars of the 1950s, and to me that era of the front engine cars was the one I was looking towards creating.
And so you just went off and built yourself a Medicar?
Yes, I studied some books on a lot of the engineering aspects, and just set about designing the car that I really wanted.
And was it right from the word go?
I think the style and the engineering aspects, yes, it was. I was very pleased with the prototype car, how it ran and how it performed.
And you've still got that prototype?
Yes, indeed, yes. I've been driving it for the last 12 years, and I've reached something like 80,000 miles in it. It's been very satisfying, and it's been excellent motoring. You
can buy it in kit form?
No, the car's available in component form for the enthusiast to build, but it's also available built by the factory to customer specification.
How much would a fully built-up car cost if you bought it from the works?
In kit form, the customer could put one on the road. If he had his donor car, which is an XJ6, he could actually get the car on the road for £12,000.
So how much would a rough old donor XJ cost you?
Oh, anything from £100 to £150 for one that's non-running, that we could use most of the mechanics out of.
If you build the car and sell it to a customer, how much does it cost then?
Well, for a high specification car that we would build, it costs from £24,000 upwards.
It all looks terribly solid, but I mean, it's a very high-powered car. If you were in an accident, what about the safety side of it?
Yes, we have many safety features. The car has been extensively tested, and in fact, the car will be TUV approved. And to do that, we've had to have seatbelt testing to ministry standards, and it is a very safe car.
Now, this one's fitted with the V12. I mean, it must be extraordinary. These rear wheels must spend all their time spinning, don't they?
Well, it has been known to spin the wheels, certainly at quite an excessive speed, yes.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go and drive it. Well, if you're going to drive something like this, you might as well look the part. First impression is of build quality. The car feels totally unlike a lashed together kit car. It's big and solid, all the controls feel like a Jaguar's should, and the steering is light and free from kickback. And despite the massive weight of that V12 engine, it's actually quite nicely balanced with 50-50 weight distribution. I wasn't going to push that hard in a car that a customer has taken a year to build, but a lot of Ronarts equip themselves well on the track in sprints and hill climbs, and if it was mine, that's where I'd be headed. I've driven some mad creations in my time, but this is incredible. And the reason it's such an amazing car, because under the bonnet here, 5.3 litres of Jaguar V12, they put 6 twin-choke Weber carburetors on it. It's producing about, I don't know, let's say 350 brake horsepower, and you won't be too far wrong. 0 to 60 under 5 seconds, and maximum speed, well, how brave are you and how well can you withstand the blue bottles on your teeth? They've had one up to 180 miles an hour, but that would take a substantially braver man than me. But in a car weighing less than a ton, you can see why this is serious supercar performance. Well, it's not often I finish a car test saying I really want one, but I have to confess I'm seriously impressed by the Ronart. Let's think, a second-hand old XJ6 for 250 quid, couple of spanners, pair of pliers, kit from Ronart. Yeah, I could do that.
Welcome back. As you can see, we've now moved the chassis of the Westfield into the garage. We've got it set up on the chassis stands and we're now ready to start some work. Now, according to the manual, it's all a modular build. I think it goes from module 1 to module 8. Today we're going to start with module 1, and that's bolting the suspension on. First, start with the rear. Look, I've got the components here for the rear suspension. The rear suspension is 2 wishbones, a double wishbone setup. That's the top one, and this is the bottom one. Basically, these bolt to the chassis, using those bolts with some very, very small bushes in the middle there. They're called metallastic bushes, and that's one of the major reasons why this car handles as well as it does. The chassis is rigid and there's very little squashy movement in the suspension. Right, come on, let's go and see how we can fit these on. Let's get this suspension bolted on. We'll start with the bottom wishbone, which goes in that position. Just temporarily put a bolt through. And another one from the other side. Okay, that's the bottom one in place. Pop the top one in now. One bolt in, and the other one from here. There we go. Now we'll just put a little nut on it. There. Right, at this stage, nothing's firmly bolted up. Leave everything loose so it can be moved, and we know that in module 2 we're going to have to take it all off again to put the drive shafts in. Here we are with the front suspension system. Okay, so I've cheated a little bit. It's already fitted. Same system, 2 wishbones, bottom and top, working together like that. The important thing is this top wishbone. Top wishbone is handed and directional. The best way of describing it is that the big weld goes to the rear. What that actually gives you is what we call a negative caster angle. That top point is actually towards the rear of the same suspension point on the bottom wishbone. And when you fit your hub, it leans towards the back, giving a negative caster angle. Right, now we've got the suspension system fitted, I think we'll fit some hubs and shock absorbers. Just need a washer in there. With a bolt in this side. That's done. Let's get this spring and shock absorber on here. This here's the business end of the rear suspension system. It's a gas shock absorber with a spring round the outside. Technical terminology, it's a coilover, because the coil is over the shock absorber. Let's get it bolted on. Right, that's the top one in. And this is how the bottom one goes. Bring the suspension system up. Get it all popped together again. You might need a little bit of leaning on here. Let's see how we can go. Brilliant. All fixed together and reasonably solid. When you pick your car up from Westfield, a lot of the work in Module 1's already been done. Now look at this. Brake pipes, they're already fitted. The wiring loom, it's already in place. Brake master cylinder, clutch master cylinder, they've done that as well. That's Module 1 finished. Come my neck. I've only got another 7 to go.
Do you know what? I feel like I've got a hot date with Claudia Schiffer, and I've taken her to the library, because today I'm not going to be talking about the Lancia K, the beautiful Mercedes CLK, the Peugeot 406 here. No, I've come all the way to the Vallelunga near Rome in Italy to talk about the tyres. Now, you might need reminding that the tyres are the black round things at the corner of the cars. We tend not to think about them unless they go flat or something called the tread wears out. Tyres are a bit boring. But not these. These have personality. They can rub shoulders with NASA's space shuttle because both were designed on a Cray supercomputer. The new Rally 540 replaces its predecessor, the 440, claiming a full 7% improvement in performance. It's designed as a high-performance summer rain tyre for speeds up to 168 miles an hour. Uniroyal say that it's suitable for most popular car makes, but what's new about it, and why should it create any excitement in rubber world? First of all, the contour of the tyre. The belt and tread have a much flatter profile than conventional tyres. This makes for more even distribution of ground pressure, which means the tyres should last longer than their previous lot by up to 20%, say Uniroyal. There's a new silica compound in the rubber itself, which is designed to bring all sorts of benefits. Less rolling resistance, which they say can save up to 5% on fuel, and an increased grip in the wet, which makes for shorter braking distances. Let's see if I can get a squeal out of these babies. This is the hairpin bend, the 180, here we go. Stableford comes into it, and very cautious indeed around there. Now in last position. Well, the tyres seem perfectly fine to me, but then what do I know? I'm not an expert, but I know a man who is. This is a lot more like it. I'm now being driven by Connie Reinders, who's been a test driver for 25 years and claims to know what he's doing. It's quite a different experience to me driving though. Good grief. Whoa! It's sliding all over the place. Good grief! I'm sure I've just seen my life flashing between my eyes. Listen to those tyres complaining, but they're absolutely steady. Very good grip. Fantastic. Thanks, Connie, that was fabulous. Well, that concludes the dry test area. The tyres performed extremely well. I nearly lost my lunch. We're now going over to the wet test area to compare these tyres with others in a wet situation. And hopefully it won't be quite so torturous as that one. Just how new is the idea of directional treads?
About 10 years. Developed initially for high-performance motor vehicles, the directional tread pattern found to be very efficient at high speeds for clearing water. What we want to do now is to bring this to the family car, and we have done this through the range of Uniroll rain tyres.
Where do you think the future of tyre technology might lead us?
Well, as far as we're concerned, we are already looking into the development of automotive systems where we include the tyre. We don't provide a tyre just to the manufacturer, we provide a fitted unit, something which may be moving towards the suspension of the vehicle, and even to the point of having indications on the inside of the vehicle about what the tyre is doing all of the time.
Now, when I'm driving around here on this wet surface, what should I be noticing about the difference in the tyres?
What you should be noticing is how you feel about driving, because really that's what it's about. You're the person behind the wheel, it's your confidence, and what you should feel, maybe you feel a little less twitching now, but you know that a company has put a lot of effort into producing a tyre specifically for where you're driving it.
Do you feel that you're at the, well, slightly the less glamorous end of the motoring industry, or are tyres exciting?
Sadly enough, tyres are exciting to me.
Now, all the cars out here on the wet test track are identical VW Golfs. Okay, they're different colours, but they're also driving on different manufacturers' tyres. For instance, this VW is on a set of Michelins, and well, they seem fine to me, but then I'm driving rather slowly. To be perfectly honest, I don't feel really well qualified to judge the difference between these different sets of tyres. I'm just a normal average driver, and so in these conditions I'm driving fairly carefully, and all the tyres seem perfectly good to me. Perhaps only the experts can really tell the difference, but they're all doing a fine job in my opinion. If you're sporting a set of 440s at the moment and feel a change might be on the cards, Uniroyal would like you to know that all this extra innovation and technology costs you absolutely nothing. Well, apart from the price of a new set of 540s, pegged at the cost of the 440s, about £45 a tyre. Well, no matter what me and my journalistic pals think of the 540 tyres here in Italy, I suspect they'll do rather well in China. That's because the last series, the 440s, caused a few headaches there. You see, the number 4 signifies death in China, so the 440s literally meant double death. Well, now as it happens, the number 5 cancels out the 4, so the 540 in China will mean not dead. There you are. It's amazing what you can learn on this programme.
In a world that's constantly changing, it's nice to know that some things can always be relied upon. For years, that's how Volkswagen have marketed Europe's biggest selling car, the Golf. And it's good to know that even though there's now a new Golf on sale, it's still as reassuringly familiar as the old version. In fact, market research by the chaps at Volkswagen have proved that the Golf buyer didn't want to see anything radically different with the Golf Mark IV. So instead of huge changes of styling, this new version instead offers new levels of quality, comfort and safety. The new range is packed with models, but this is likely to be the most popular. This is the petrol 1.6 version with more power and better fuel economy than the old 1.8. This 100 brake horsepower unit has already had a very successful outing in the Audi A3, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be just as popular in the new Golf. This is the SE version and it'll set you back £14,820. Now, in the looks department, glamorous and exciting, it isn't. But that means that it's got the kind of looks that would appeal to just about anyone. The differences on this new version are subtle. The angle of the windscreen, new headlights, changes to the bumpers. The whole thing is evolutionary rather than revolutionary. A very classy choice of interior upholstery. Chrome door handles, dampened interior fittings, beautifully engineered cup holders in both the front and the back. a backlit blue instrument panel with red needles, a top-class factory-fitted stereo, and, paying attention to the minutest of details, look at the way the ties for the parcel shelf roll back into place when they're not in use. Yes, the inside of the new Golf is without doubt a most pleasant place to be. You instantly feel at home in here. The seating position is very comfortable and the seat adjusts to just about every position imaginable. The steering wheel also adjusts for both height and reach. And generally, because Golf Mark IV is a much larger car, most of the benefit is felt in here. There's plenty of space, quite a lot more than before, for both the driver and the passengers. First impressions are that it feels a bit sluggish when pulling off. But build up the revs and you'll find the 1.6 has a good mid-range and a surprisingly punchy top end. According to the men from VW, and I have no reason to doubt them, you'll get to 60 in around 11 seconds and up to a top speed, if you want it, of 117 miles per hour. The handling feels as safe and as predictable as you'd expect from what, after all, is a family car. However, the wheels do respond quickly to the steering wheel and the grip is extremely good. But I have to say that it's the kind of car that feels more at home on long stretches of road or motorways rather than twisty-turny bends. Overall, the driving experience isn't particularly involving or exciting, but as you'd expect from VW, it's solid, it's reliable and it's comfortable. You can, however, drive in the knowledge that this is a very safe car. The side pillars have been strengthened. There are now driver, passenger and side airbags as standard. Seatbelt pretensioners are also fitted. And the body structure has been designed to absorb the greatest amount of crash energy if you do have a collision. In fact, there are so many new safety features that the insurance ratings for the whole of the new Golf's range have been greatly reduced. Overall, the new Golf is an outstanding combination of comfort, build quality, reliability and value for money. Yes, it's nice to know that some things do never change.